Hachette Audio presents When the Light Finds Us, From a Life Sentence to a Life Transformed. Written by Judy Henderson with Jimmy Soni. Read by Marjie Shrimpton, with the prologue and epilogue read by Judy Henderson. For my family, J.H. For Jessica, J.S. Author's Note. The flaws and triumphs shared in these pages belong to real people, and their stories deserve careful handling. With this in mind, I've cross-checked facts against court documents, personal journals, interviews with family and friends, and various public and private records to ensure accuracy. Some names have been changed to protect privacy. My hope is that those whose stories are told here will recognize themselves and feel their journeys have been portrayed with grace. For in the end, we are all broken, and we are all worthy nonetheless.
Prologue. Imagine losing everything you love in a single day. Your home, your children, your freedom. The pain drops you to your knees. But as your tears dry, you face a choice. Stay broken or stand up and rebuild. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. My name is Judy Henderson. In 1982, at 32, I was sent to prison for life. The crime? A murder I didn't commit. It took 36 years for the truth to come out. I was 68 when I was finally freed and pardoned. By then, I'd spent more time behind bars than I had in the free world. This is my story. Before my life took an unthinkable turn, I was living the quintessential American dream. My days revolved around my 2 children, Chip and Angel, in our modest suburban home. Our calendar was filled with dance recitals, barbecues, and birthday parties. The ordinary joys of family life. Like many, I faced challenges. A difficult marriage ended in divorce, but my children and I found happiness in our new normal. We were building a life filled with laughter and love. Then Greg entered my world. Charming and charismatic, he swept me off my feet. Despite the red flags that now seem so obvious in hindsight, I fell for him, ignoring the instincts that whispered caution. One day, Greg approached me with what seemed like a simple request. He needed to confront a man named Harry about an unresolved financial matter. Naively, I agreed to help, unaware that I was blind to his true plans. What Greg had planned was far from a simple confrontation. In a horrifying turn of events, he robbed and murdered Harry in cold blood. The sound of the gunshot and the sight of Harry falling to the ground are seared into my memory. In the chaos that followed, Greg manipulated the narrative, framing me for his crime. Despite my clean record and evidence supporting my innocence, the justice system failed me. In a cruel twist of fate, I was convicted of Harry's murder while Greg walked free. The courtroom scene plays in my mind like a recurring nightmare. As the judge sentenced me to life in prison without parole, my family's anguished cries filled the air. In that moment, the world I held dear all vanished in an instant. Prison was a foreign land with its own brutal language. Danger lurked everywhere. Shanks fashioned from toothbrushes glinted in shadows. Invisible lines separated rival gangs, and violence could erupt at any moment. At first, I tried to disappear. I'd mumble apologies for the slightest bump into another inmate, my eyes glued to the floor. But it was impossible to be invisible in these crowded confines. My middle-class background and soft-spoken manner might as well have been targets on my back. Worse, my attempts to hide screamed weakness, a death sentence in this unforgiving world. Despite every instinct, I had to adapt. I learned to meet stares with unflinching eyes, to stand my ground in the lunch line, to let my voice carry an edge of threat. The prison system offered no sanctuary. It wasn't interested in rehabilitation, only punishment. We were systematically stripped of our names, our stories, our very humanity. We became mere numbers, faceless entities to be processed and controlled. Even the guards, sworn to protect, reveled in casual cruelty, shoving us along like cattle. Hope felt like a luxury I couldn't afford. Survival became my sole focus. Some nights lying on my thin mattress, listening to muffled sounds and angry whispers, the weight of this new reality nearly crushed me. Yet, even in prison's bleakness, there were pinpricks of light. We found small ways to rebel, trading contraband makeup or hair color. These actions may have seemed insignificant to outsiders, but they gave us precious moments of control on the inside. Humor kept us from despair, and silly jokes broke the monotony. We'd mimic the guards when their backs were turned and create absurd nicknames for the bland prison food. We crafted celebrations using crude cakes made of hoarded snacks, and lukewarm tea served in plastic mugs became toasts of defiance. These weren't mere distractions, they were declarations. In these moments, we transcended our assigned prison numbers and criminal records. We were human, clinging to joy and connection against all odds. You do the time or the time does you, prisoners say. I chose to do the time. For 3 decades, I rebuilt myself through education, faith, therapy, and service. I earned my GED, then a paralegal certification. I devoured entire libraries, arming myself with knowledge against the ever-present threat of violence. Faith anchored me. In the depths of confinement, I discovered spiritual freedom, a newfound purpose beyond iron bars and concrete walls. Through thousands of hours of therapy, counseling, and meditation, I learned to turn raw emotion into action. I wrote anger-fueled letters to legislators, my words, my weapons. In my sadness, I taught fellow inmates. I became an advocate fighting for prison reforms and protections for abused women. From behind bars, I testified before state legislators, giving voice to the voiceless. Against the grinding routine of prison life, I found refuge in exercise. I led fitness classes, each push-up and squat a small victory. This metamorphosis wasn't easy. Past traumas had scarred me, and prison threatened to claim what remained. But I refused to yield. Always I remembered I wasn't just an inmate. I was a mom. Prison didn't erase my identity as a mother. It forced me to reimagine it. I became a voice on the phone, a lifeline of love and guidance. When my daughter struggled to make sweet potatoes, I walked her through each step, the prison phone pressed to my ear. As she navigated the maze of dating, I shared some of my own young missteps, hoping to spare her similar heartaches. These fragments of motherhood kept me connected to my family and my true self. They strengthened my vow. I would speak to my children as a free woman once again, my name cleared. To some, this seemed like pure fantasy. I had a life sentence without parole. Fellow lifers urged me to accept reality, to resign myself to dying behind bars. I refused. Call it blind faith or naive delusion, but I clung to my innocence and the belief that justice would prevail. At every turn, I petitioned the state for my freedom. I crafted and recrafted clemency pleas. I spent thousands of hours with lawyers, mastering every intricacy of the legal system. For 35 years, every one of these petitions failed. But in my 36th year of incarceration, my plea was granted. The governor himself arrived to deliver the news and apologize for the lifetime stolen from me. As I stepped through that prison doorway into my family's arms, I saw that the world had become a foreign place after so many years of confinement, but I was free. The woman who walked out of prison still resembled the one who had entered, with scars on her skin and wounds behind her eyes. Inside, though, she had been transformed. Prison had weakened my relationships and stolen some of my identity. Yet through that struggle, I rebuilt.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?